Peter, where do I begin? Whether it's the oil or taking away the dollar as a monetary source around the world, or Biden's just horrible economic policies back home. All three of them are pointing to a recession this year in this nation and a destabilization of the dollar around the globe. And I'm scared, to be honest.
Yeah, well, we'd be very lucky to escape with just a recession. I think this is a depression. We're probably already in it. It's just going to get worse. But the real threat you mentioned is going to be the foreigners pulling the rug out from under the economy by abandoning the dollar, because that's what makes this dysfunctional economy that we have possible. We have $1 trillion a year trade deficit. That means we import $1 trillion a year worth of stuff that we didn't make. And the only reason we could do it is because foreigners will take the paper that we print for all the stuff that they produce. But if they don't want to do that anymore, then how is our economy going to function without all this stuff? Because we certainly don't have the factories to produce it.
Yeah, you know, I'm reading this Forbes article, back to the jobs thing, Peter, because that just still amazes me when I watch mainstream media continue to brag up these job reports when they come out, try to make the Biden regime look good when they're lying to the American people. And that just, I'll tell you, Peter, you know, I'm sure you get upset when you see economists go on the mainstream media and lie about the economy. That's how I feel when I watch so-called journalists or talk show hosts lie about the economy to the people. And I'm reading a Forbes article here from just a couple days ago. Job cuts are up almost 400% this year as jobless claims are on the rise. Yet they come out and they say unemployment's down, and that's an okay number, 200 and some thousand. Could have been better, but it's not horrible. But then, Peter, there's all these articles of all these tech companies cutting 7,000 here, 15,000 there, 12,000 there. Disney's cutting thousands. When I'm seeing places like Meta, Facebook, Alphabet, Microsoft, Goldman Sachs, all cutting thousands in this Wall Street Journal article and saying point blank, we're cutting them ahead of fears of a major recession. They're telling you it's coming. The CEOs of these major companies know what's happening out there. I just don't understand how the Biden regime turns their back on all the evidence.
Well, plus we are in the early stages of another financial crisis. Nobody wants to acknowledge, but that's exactly what's going on here. But this financial crisis, by the time it's over, is going to be far worse than the one that we had in 2008, because we have a much bigger problem today than we had then, and the consequence is a much larger financial crisis now than the one we had then, and it's going to end, I believe, with an all-out U.S. dollar currency and sovereign debt crisis, and then inflation is going to explode through the roof. There's nothing that we can do to avert this. I mean, we're going to have to suffer the consequences of failed policies that have gone on for basically decades.
We all keep hearing fears more banks are going to collapse after those last two banks here and the one overseas. What are you hearing with the banks, and how many more could go down?
Well, a lot of banks would fail if the government and the Fed allowed it to happen. But unfortunately, they're not going to let them fail. They're going to print a bunch of money and create inflation instead. And so instead of losing your money at the bank because your bank fails, your bank won't fail. It's going to get bailed out. But your money that's at the bank is going to lose its value. So, yeah, you can go to the bank and take out your money, but then take it to the grocery store or the gas station. You're not going to be able to buy very much.